and welcome to the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting Podcast. I am Frivolous Dawn, and I am going solo today. It's just been a crazy summer, and we haven't been able to find a time for Frugal Miss Penny and Fearless Miss Brianna to all get together to podcast. So I'm going to try a couple of these little, I'm going to call them shorts. I should probably have a name that starts with the letter F. But let me know what you think. If that'll help fill in so that we can release a video every couple of weeks, we'll do it. If not, we will just do our best to see when we can all get together again. The purpose of these shorts are just to present a single topic, if you will. Can you tell I'm a teacher? So today I'm going to talk about some things that I have knit over the last couple of months that did not work out. So I don't know whether I should call them epic fails or not quite sure, but they were items that will eventually be frogged. So before I frogged them, I thought I'd share them with you. Just a little bit of an introduction for those of you who may be joining us for the first time. Our typical episodes will have works in progress, finished objects, what we're learning, and wise words from my sister Nikki. But today it's just me. I currently am living near Green Bay, Wisconsin, where I live with my husband, and we have a 23-year-old son as well. So I'm trying to retire. I keep thinking I'm going to do it. Then I always pick up a little part-time job. So hold me to my word. This is the last school year, and then I'm going to officially retire from teaching. So to get started, let me just share with you some things that I have tried and didn't work. I think we grew up in a home. Yeah, we came from a large family. There's 8 of us. And I do believe my mom was pretty good about teaching in the sense that she would show us how to do something once, and then after that, she told us to figure it out. So I think it really taught us all to learn critical thinking at a pretty young age. But also, I always felt like we had the freedom to fail, if you will. And I always teach my current students that learning is a messy process. It's not always going to work, but that is part of the process of learning. So I don't feel badly about any of these items that didn't work out. I will repurpose the yarn or gift it, but I learned a lot along the way. So let's start off with how my first project started. I love to brioche knit. It is my happy place. When I am brioching, if that is such a word, I am calm. My spirit is calm. I don't even know how to describe that, but it really is my happy place. So I really was wanting to do some brioche because I hadn't knit any for a while. So this summer, Suzanne Summer, she designs under the name SOSU Knits. I believe she is a German designer, always does a mystery brioche along. And I decided to join it this summer. We knew it was going to be a shawl, and she said it could be in 1, 2, 3, or 4 colors, and it was fingering weight. So when I was in Knit City, Montreal, gosh, that was in May already, I bought some yarn to do this, and we ended up picking out 3 different colors. So let me show you the 3 colors I picked out. One of the Canadian vendors that was there was Rose Hill Farms. Oh my gosh, you guys, this yarn is spectacular. This is their Rose Hill Fingering Light. This color is Bog. That is actually showing pretty true to color. Definitely not the colors I generally knit in, but it was a spectacular. Now, I shouldn't say that I knit in. I don't wear this color very often. That was one color. And then look at this. I'll have to show you about that that's one of my little frugal hacks. That is forest green. The color is called Forest 2. Now, this yarn is a 75% merino, 25% nylon base. The color saturation is fantastic. Those people at the Rose Hill were so gracious to sit there and work with me to pick out these yarns. This was the 3rd color, and ended up buying 2 skeins of this one. This is called, let me check just to make sure I get it right. This is called Silver Fox. They're all 100 grams. So I was going to use these 3 colors together in the knit along, and Suzanne Summers called the knit along Brioche Mode. So we kind of have this thing between Penny and I that the perfect knitting project is right yarn, right color, right pattern. That pattern could be the written pattern, or it could be the texture of the pattern, or that combination. So let me show you. my issue. So I'll see what you guys think of this. So this first section up here was the first section, 2-color brioche. So we had our colors labeled A, B, C, and D. So gray was going to be my main color. I really like this first section. I like the contrast. For those of you who have not done brioche, it's reversible. So you'll see on the back side, you pick up the green a little bit more than you do on the front side. So I was thrilled with this first section. Then came section 2, or I don't know, it was actually the second part of clue 1, is this V-shaped brioche. The design was brilliant in the writing, but you don't see the gray there, do you? I'll bring it up a little bit closer. And when you bring it in close, you can kind of see it. Now, I apologize. This is not brioche. This is just stockinette. But I lost the gray color. And when you look on the back, it's the same. You lose that beautiful color. So after week 1, I thought, you know what, let's try another clue. So we go down to week 2. And we're using those same colors again in the same order. And it became apparent to me after clue 2 that I had picked the right yarn and the right pattern, but my colors were not right. It wasn't showboating this color, which I wanted it to. You kind of lose that next to the gray. And no matter which side I put it on, I just was not happy with my color choice. So instead of going on to the 4 weeks and doing a lot more knitting, I just decided, you know what? I love the brioche. I love the pattern. I just did not love my color positioning or my color choice. So I decided after week 2 that I would. I initially put it into hibernation thinking I would maybe pick it up again. But the more I looked at it, it just was not going to work for me. So I will repurpose or regift this yarn. It is spectacular yarn. It was knit on a US 4 as well. So you know what? I love brioche. Well, anyway, and I don't know about you, but it's really hard for me to decide to finally set an item aside and know that it's going to be frogged. Sometimes I just get a little frustrated with myself and put things into hibernation for a while. But I'm not going to pick this up again. So I will now not only tink this, I'll frog it. And so I'll rip it totally out and repurpose the yarn. Now, I may have to get that yarn wet, right, and get it set again, because otherwise it'll be that kind of squiggly yarn. So the next thing that I ended up frogging was I decided to participate in the Stephen West Contrast Blast Socks Mystery Sock Along. I love my dear Stephen, and I know the risk of a mystery. So not only was the brioche a mystery risk, the sock was a mystery risk as well. So this was a 2-color sock. Are these not my colors? Now you're talking. Oh, let me tell you about the yarns. This is Emma's yarn, Hella Hank. I think they call it a Hella Hank because you get it in 150 grams. And you know what? It is just as pink as it is showing. It is called Barbie Girl. Hella Hank is fingering. It's 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. Is that not just perfect? And then my contrasting yarn is just as perfect. Look at this. I'll kind of turn it slowly so you can see those pink little specks. This is by Chicken Lady Fiber Arts. Lynn is the owner and designer or dyer there. And the colorway is called Snowy Day. This is a 80% merino, 20% nylon base. So I thought they just work so well together. So clue 1 was the start. So we did this cast on. Look at these brilliant cables that led down into the first part of the upper leg. This is called Staircase. I love this design. I see this in a hat or in a cowl. I was so excited for this. I'd not done that before. Clue 2 started these beautiful little, they're not cables, they're kind of like bricks. I had done a design similar to this when I did a Olga Jazzy shawl last year. So I was knitting with my friend James. James has a podcast called Dude Knits. He lives here in Green Bay as well. He's like, Dawn, you might want to try that sock on. And I'm thinking, okay. So he just encouraged me to try the sock on. So I thought, well, I generally knit my socks 64 stitches on a US one. This had, when you followed the pattern instructions, it had me casting on 72. So I'm thinking, oh, that sock is going to be big and baggy. So I didn't try it on through clue 1. I got to this section of clue 2. And when I got home that day after knitting with James, I tried to tie it on. I tried to tie it on. I tried to try it on. And you guys, I couldn't get this over my foot if I had Crisco and a crowbar. This part is so tight, it would be like the ultimate compression sock, which it was not meant to be. I would never have tried it on had James not encouraged me. So I am so glad I did. So I decided, you know what? I'm not interested in tearing all of this back out. I liked doing this cable design. It was a great way to learn. I loved this motif right here. I hope he will come out with many more patterns with that motif. Obviously, I will need to size up needles. And I had done this one before, and I really like that textured pattern as well. So I just decided I'm going to set this aside too. I will repurpose this yarn. Now, what I'm kind of hoping to repurpose is there is a new shawl design coming out by Emily Clausen. Emily has a podcast called Salt City Knits, and she has a 2-color crescent shape shawl that's going to be released, I think, hopefully in maybe October. And I think I will use these 2 yarns for that shawl. So I have 100 grams of the white and 150 grams of the pink. She's calling for 100 grams of each color. So I will take these off my needles, get them back ready to go. Now, Stephen West did recommend if you wanted to do 2 socks simultaneously to make 2 50-gram balls. So I did that. That's why they are caked up like this. But aren't those pretty together? Oh, and then pretty against what I'm wearing. You guys, this was a gift. Oh my gosh. When a knitter gifts another knitter something, I was speechless. So Miss Ellen from South Dakota came to our mini meetup, which was held the last week of July, and she gifted me this row by row sampler cowl. That was a design by Irene Designs. Irene's in the 3-Ply podcast, and then she donated the proceeds of the sale of this to help meet the costs of the meetup. So that was an amazing blessing all by itself. And Ellen said that these were my colors, so she gave it to me. Now, those of you who know Ellen, I asked her what yarn it was in, and it was followed by a few expletives, meaning she just couldn't remember. So I'm guessing here, but this sure looks like Malabrigo, the colorway Hollyhock. And if I had to guess by feeling it, maybe it's not as thick as Rio, so maybe Arroyo. Oh, beautiful colors. Oh, I love it, love it. Thank you, Ellen. Hugs and kisses. It means more to me than you know. All right. Then last but not least for this little short mini is when I was in Knit City, Montreal, I'd signed up to take a class for Olga Jazzy to do the Winter Suns shawl. Now, if I can figure out how to put a picture in here, I'll show you the picture of the shawl. She was teaching a new technique with mosaic knitting to catch your floats. And so if you wanted to for that class, you could knit the body of the shawl so that when you got to the class, you could work on the border, which was these winter suns. So my friend Kathy and I, who were going, we went ahead and knit the body of the shawl. So you'll see obviously black. This is Heritage, Cascasde Heritage in the black colorway. And it is not blocked, but you can see it was a lot of knitting. Now, down here was supposed to be the winter suns, and I tried that technique, and just so you know, my gauge was really off. You can see how off it is. You can see through the shawl. It was not supposed to be that airy. It was supposed to be more dense. I used a fingering weight. The pattern was written for DK, so I made lots of tactical errors while I was knitting this. I wasn't happy with the suns. So when I got home, I took another class in ladder back jacquard, figuring that would be another way to capture floats. Unfortunately, that is for two-hand color work, so the two techniques didn't blend. So I went into Ravelry and did an advanced search under patterns for two-color, fingering weight, asymmetrical shawls, and this one came up. This is a pattern by Lisa Hans. I love her as a designer too. It's an older pattern. It's called Walk in the Woods. Now, her shawl was not this large for this portion of it, and it did have a texture running through it. But I thought at least I could do some math and get this pattern repeat to work, and it did. So I just finished this. It's off the needles, but not blocked. But that is a beautiful mosaic pattern, I think. The teal color is actually called Como Blue. It is a Heritage Sock silk, which is, I think, 80%. I don't know. Why do I think it's 80% merino and then 10% silk, 10% nylon? It's got a little bit of silk in it. And I just made the math work. Now, a couple of things are different, which if I had to do it again and I had a little more forethought, I would have made the borders the same. So you'll see that the border of the black is different than the border of the mosaic. I don't know if that's a big deal or not. And this is curling, but it just has a very simple garter ridge. So this was a fail that I just reworked and made it into a different shawl. So I will block it, and it will block long. I'm going to say maybe not quite 100 inches, but I bet it's going to go 90. And I think if you're wearing this over your shoulder, I'm not quite sure how I'll wear it, but that is, I just thought that was really a striking kind of textured pattern. So do I call them fails? I think I would call them a fail in the sense that what I set out to do didn't work, but it didn't mean that I wasn't learning throughout the process. I know there's that phrase out there that says failure is not an option. Well, that may be true in certain things. Like I suppose if you're a neurosurgeon, failure is not an option. But for our knitting, if we love to knit, we love the yarn, we like the design, sometimes it's just not going to work. Definitely the risk of doing a mystery knit along. People who have been burned by doing a mystery knit along often say they'll never do another one. I had not been, quote, quote, burned by a mystery till this time, but I don't think it's going to stop me. I sure plan on doing the Stephen West mystery knit along this fall. I just need to know that it's the risk before you go in. When you don't get to see the finished project, then that is the risk of the yarns. So I really appreciate designers who give you a lot of input on colors, whether you should be using solids, semi-solids, textures. Some will say use a variegated, some will say don't use a variegated. Some will say this is a great place to add mohair, or this is a place you would not want to add mohair. I appreciate all of that advice, and I need to learn that it's okay to fail and rework. Why do I keep staring at that? Well, that's all I have for today. Please, in the comments below, let me know if these little short little videos will work or not, or if you have any ideas for me to share with those. Maybe some things I've been bouncing around in my head is maybe some of my favorite shawls I've knit. I don't know. I'm just kind of bouncing some of these around. So we'll see how it works. But until we are able to get together as sisters and nieces again, I will sign off for today. And please know that we hope your week is a little, geez, can I get this right? We hope that your knitting this week has a little twist of both the frivolous and the frugal. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me today, and happy knitting. Bye-bye.